Click. 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 Motherfucker.
Fuck hell. What are you doing?
Right. Clapperboarding, mate. You don't have to edit in this shit, so you don't realise what goes on behind the scenes, right? At some point, imagine being handed 10 gigabytes of video, right, and 4 audio tracks, right? You fucking try and synchronise them without something like that.
Wouldn't bother, mate.
Yeah, you wouldn't bother, and your video would be shit.
So here we are, everybody, on the hottest day in the UK since 1995.
Really?
Did you know that?
I heard it was worse. I heard it was like 1970s we're talking about.
No, if it's as hot tomorrow as it's predicted, it will be the hottest since 1976.
Whew.
Pretty hot. And do you know what I was doing in 1995, mate?
Yes, you were at sixth form college.
Not quite.
Listening to Oasis.
I was sitting my GCSEs.
Fuck.
I was sitting my general certificate of secondary education.
Wow.
And I don't know why this memory sits in my mind, right? But in the very last exam that we had, it was a smoulderingly hot day, perhaps the hottest day until 2017, right? And we were sitting in the exam, and I couldn't tell you what the exam was. But suddenly, I felt sure I heard the strains of Jimmy Nail singing Crocodile Shoes. And then over time, I looked up from my paper as the exam came to a close, and I saw everybody in the year swaying left and right to Crocodile Shoes. And what had happened is the coach had rocked up outside school, because I lived in a village school and the coach took people home, and the bus driver with the windows open was listening to the radio. and that's a memory that will always stay with me. Wow. Everybody just going. That's
a really visual memory.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could just walk back in time now, the you now, like the old fat rubbish you now. Just go poof and appear in a puff of smoke, and say the next time it's as hot as you are now, you'll have made a video game with like 2 million players. And you'll be internet sensation Mark Morris, and this GCSE that you're sitting right now won't mean anything.
Well, no, I'll tell you what would have happened, mate. I would have looked over my shoulder and I would have gone, nah, mate, nah. The atom's not a billiard ball. It's a quantum electro cloud of electrons swirling around. You need to use the Schrödinger equation, mate, to figure out what, the probability of them being in a shell. What's that you're doing? That's bollocks, mate. And I would have confused myself, right? I would have not gotten my GCSE, which meant I couldn't go and do my A-levels, right?
Yeah.
Which meant I wouldn't have gone to Imperial. I wouldn't have met you.
Oh, my God. There's like a whole future where I could have been happy.
Actually, yeah, exactly. I could have stayed in Glastonbury, mate, and I could have been back there now, and the festival's on now.
Exactly.
So I could have been in Glastonbury Festival right now, flipping burgers. It would have been the highlight of my year.
You could have been pulling pints and stuff at Glastonbury Festival.
Yeah, but that would be good, mate. I would give it all up for that.
Oh, please do. Go back in time and do it, mate.
I need you to build me a time machine first.
Yes, let's deliberately try and remake your life. You and I can just agree that this is not good. Right, and that we should take steps to change it.
To get back in time. Right, so here we are, everybody. Here's another PA update.
Woo!
It's update 12.
Update 12. By my calculation, mate, it is the 49th content update for Prison Architect.
That's brilliant, mate. That's brilliant. So the schedule now, the cynical schedule at Introversion, is going to be us doing updates 2, maybe 3 times a year, kind of around the time of the sales. And I'm sorry about that if that makes us corporate sellouts. But I'll tell you why it doesn't, because the last game we made, right, which was all innovative and new, sold 5 copies.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sore spot that at the moment, isn't it? A little bit of a sore spot.
It is
I think we knew that Scanstorm was going to be niche, didn't we? Right?
Yeah,
we knew that, right? Because it's obvious. But
we didn't know it was going to be even more niche than Multiwinia.
Yeah, it's not as niche as Multiwinia, but it's pretty damn niche.
Well, there's a disagreement between Chris and I on which is our biggest flop, whether it was Scanner or Multiwinia.
Yeah, well, I think as a game that follows Prison Architect, which has sold 2 million copies, I didn't think it was possible to sell as few as Scanner sold.
But you managed it, mate.
So I managed it, exactly. I'm going to add that to my list of life achievements. All right, I've plumbed a new low.
from the platform. Introversion watchers, right? I think there are quite a few in the industry because we're just mental, right? We'll be writing, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how, once again, right?
Yeah.
The platform that they built for themselves, which was so sturdy, they managed to just fall off.
Well, masters, mate, masters of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah.
That's what we do, man. That's the way.
Listen,
that's how we roll.
I can explain why.
Go on.
I can legitimately explain why. Here's the argument, right? Yeah. This is the reason why. So,
well, how come we're talking about scanner in the PA bit?
Because you told me that the scanner video was going to be really long and the PA bit was going to be really long. And if we don't talk about scanner now, no one will know about it. And scanner is a good game. And if you haven't gone and looked at it, even though it's not sold many copies, it is great. So please go and check it out and download it. But here's the reason why, right? If you're a creative person, like a film director or a rock star or something like that, music writer of music, you don't go from project to project to project to project without a break. Everybody has to have their break, right? Everybody has to think about the last project they've completed, try and get a bit of perspective, a bit of focus. But when you're a game studio like we are, burning through cash every month, there's this background pressure that means we haven't got time to go and, take a couple of years out and just think about it. There needs to be the next thing. And once you've spent 50 updates, whatever that works out in years, probably 7 years or something now working on a game, you need to just have something which is a bit different. The palette cleanser analogy that we used,
Yeah.
And nobody really has played Scanner. I'm going to call it an avant-garde success. Because we didn't want anyone playing it.
We made sure no one played it.
Scanner Samba wasn't for you. It was for us. It was our planet.
It's not for you, man. I don't want you to play it. Don't play Scanner. I think should we withdraw it from sale?
Yeah.
Should we print 1 million copies of Scanner and then burn them?
Burn them. Yeah. Don't look at the VR update video that we're making.
Yeah.
Don't buy it because we don't want you to. Right.
We wouldn't try reverse psychology on you.
No, because
you're too smart for that.
No one watches this bit anyway, mate, because somebody will have written, the update starts at 7 minutes, 24 seconds.
7 minutes, 24 seconds. Let the update begin. Start the update.
Begin.
Okay.
Bong. I just did that bit for you, mate, so you won't need to edit it in.
Excellent. You've synchronized for me. All right. Should we look at some PA updates then?
Yes.
Look at this. I've redone the entire user interface.
Yes, I noticed that. It looks very, very cool.
It does. Do you recognise it?
Yes.
What do you recognise it as?
It's the tablet one.
Yeah. I haven't actually done this at all. I mean, you and I did have a conversation about whether we wanted to bring over some of the tablet UI, didn't we? Because we know the tablet graphics for the rooms in particular are very nice, and the toolbars and stuff. And we thought about it, and then by the time I'd thought about it, the modding community had already done it.
Right.
So this is a mod. It's on the Steam Workshop. It's currently one of the top trending Prism Architect mods. And it just replaces the entire user interface with icons, which I presume they ripped out of the iPad version.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Who did it?
I need to go to here, modern UI. Here we go. Drummer C. Released on the 28th of May. Updated interface icons based on the recently released Prism Architect Mobile.
Brilliant. And so this is now what, the default interface?
No. No. Should we leave it on for the video? I'll leave it on.
Yeah. So it's just a mod.
It's just a mod. You just have to go and get it from the Steam Workshop and activate it, and then your game will look like this. But we haven't actually touched the UI itself.
Okay, we're not. So I guess we should probably talk about the tablet version.
Yeah, if you want to.
Well, I think we should. I think it didn't go very well, really.
It's a bit of a slightly frustrating launch, wasn't it?
It was a frustrating launch. I think that there are so many things that have to go well for a games project that a small thing going badly can massively taint it,
Yeah. We had some technical gremlins, didn't we, at launch?
We had. I think it's fair to say that I'm not going to hide behind anything. I'm not going to make any excuses. Our QA wasn't good enough. I'm just, and there are 3 parties involved in this, and as far as the world is concerned, I'm not going to start apportioning blame. I'll probably do that when I'm on stage, when I get asked, right? But in this video, I'm going to keep my wrath under control. Right?
Yeah, well, there's us, the game developer, and there was Tag, the company that ported, and Paradox, the company that published, wasn't there? And that arrangement alone brings with it its fair set of challenges.
Yeah, but I think it's fair to say, like, this was our fault, right? So I'm sorry, and it's my fault, because Chris never really wanted to do a tablet version. So it's my fault that I didn't pay closer attention to the QA setup within that project and ensure that the version that was released was a high enough quality version. So for all of you out there who came to the tablet version and didn't have a good experience, I'm genuinely sorry about that. Now, what happened was there were some crashes in the build. There were some crashes. Now, crashes get through and some of them have been fixed. The bigger problem was the iPad 2 box got ticked to say that it was going to work on iPad 2. Right, and it was never going to work on iPad 2. That was just a mistake in the production system. Somebody ticked the wrong box, and it went out on iPad 2. The intention was never to try and sell to iPad 2 customers and then not support them. And right now, I'm advocating the case for everybody that bought it on iPad 2, because obviously when we fixed it, unfortunately, the nature of the fix was that it's no longer going to work on iPad 2, and we knew that all. It looks like we suddenly just cut out an entire audience. But the reality is it was never going to work on iPad 2. And that was the mistake. We should never have ticked the box in the first place. And, we're very sorry, and we're working to rectify that. And there's there was an update, fixed an awful lot of these crashes. But if any of you guys are developers out there, well, I know a lot of you guys are, you know that you fix a crash and sometimes you don't know whether that was all the crashes. So often, if you've got more than one crash in a build, it might take a couple of iterations to wipe them out. So there's a new update due out very soon, which is hopefully going to be super duper stable. So that is all happening, and it's disappointing for us because
it's very disappointing. I guess the thing that's disappointing is like the iPad reviews are skewed, aren't they? People either vote 5 stars or 1 star.
1 star.
And actually the number of 1-star reviews outweighs the number of 5-star reviews because so many people had problems with it even running properly on their iPads. And it's like you were saying earlier about one small thing, like one little tick box that we ticked by accident, and ended up with us having an average user rating of like 2 out of 5 for a while. It just destroyed the overall rating. It's unbearable that Prism Architect would have a 2 out of 5 rating, And what's Prism Architect's Steam rating, Steam user rating, it's over 90 or something. Over 90%. So it was a balls up, definitely.
Right, so like the update starts at 12 minutes.
Well, we've moved on. We're a bit further in now, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
That's the iPad.
But I guess we should just end on saying that that a lot of people gave it 5 stars. It is a very solid interpretation of PA on tablet, and if you've not checked it out, you really should. Yeah. Unless you've got an iPad 2, in which case you should buy a new iPad.
Yeah, upgrade to your iPad. Brilliant, mate. Well done. All right, should we look at some new stuff then?
Let's.
All right, then, I'm going to load a present. Let's see. Let's go for this one. Yes. So I guess one of the things that I'll show you straight away is something that we've been thinking about doing for a while, but we haven't had time to do it yet, which is that we now support Steam Cloud Save. All right?
Okay, wow.
So you can go to Save Prism and say, hello or something like that into your file name, and you see this little tick box, Save to the Cloud. Right? Nice. And that's all there is to it, right? It saves it into a slightly different location to all the rest of your save games, and it gets synchronized by the magic of the Steam Cloud behind the scenes.
Nice.
And if you fire up the game on a different computer or on a Mac or on Linux or a different platform altogether or whatever, your save game will just be there in the list.
It'll just be there like magic.
Just as automagically be there, and there'll be a little cloud next to it, a little cloud icon, which we don't get here because I'm not running it through Steam currently. But this is a Steam-only feature, obviously, because it's built on the Steam Cloud.
Yep.
And that is... We've been thinking about doing that for ages. Ages and ages ago. Do you remember, like, before even version 1, we experimented with Steam Cloud saving?
Well, mate, I didn't know it wasn't in.
Yeah, right. Well,
I thought it was in.
No, Steve, you can do workshop sharing. It's been weird. You've been able to share your Prism with the world via the Steam Workshop, but not with yourself.
I'm loving the rain effect as well.
Oh yeah, the rain's nice, isn't it? I've got weather turned on this one.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's talk about the last update. We did some staff needs work.
That's right.
And we changed it so that all of your guards had needs. And that was fine. But in the process, we introduced quite a few bugs. It got a little bit unreliable. And to the extent to which like food distribution to staff canteens and staff rooms didn't really work properly. Like you didn't reliably get food trays, so they couldn't eat, and you didn't reliably get food delivered. And then on top of that, the staff themselves didn't actually go on breaks reliably. To the point which a lot of people just turned off staff needs altogether.
Yeah.
Because it kind of broke their prisons without it really being their fault. So the first thing I did this update is that's been niggling at me for quite a long time, like all the way through Scanner, was the fact that that's been kind of broken for a bit, and a lot of people weren't using the cool new staff needs stuff.
Yeah.
So I started by fixing all that up properly. And now the staff rooms and staff canteens are part of the food distribution network, just like normal canteens.
So why did it break then? That's not an anticipated.
They're dealt with in a different way. So a staff room can have a serving table, right? A staff room, not a canteen. And you can see the food types are different as well.
Yeah.
So it wasn't ordering enough food. And then the food trays are dealt with in food distribution, right? So when you have a canteen like this one, this canteen is serviced by this kitchen.
Yeah.
Right, and those links are shown there, and then the dotted lines show you where prisoners go to eat. So these chefs know that it's their job to tidy up after dinner,
okay.
in this canteen. But the staff canteens and the staff rooms weren't on the same system. So what would often happen is staff would eat in there, right, and they'd leave behind a load of dirty trays, and then they would never get cycled and cleaned, and you would never get new ones either.
Yeah.
So I fixed all that up.
I had apologised for that bug as well, mate, but then I just start sounding like Nick Clegg.
This is like the apologist's video, isn't it?
I'm not going to make any more apologies.
Yeah. So, so that was the first thing I did. Next thing we did is our general intention is we started with guards, but we actually intend most staff to be included in the staff needs system. Right. Here's a good example. Here's one of our chefs, right, and he's on break now, right.
Right.
So now chefs and gardeners and janitors, all the basic types of workers, are now included in the staff needs system, and we'll take.
Is that why he's nicking those pasties? Because he's having
they're sandwiches.
Hey, look at that!
He's on his break, right?
He's eating in the canteen. Yeah,
he's eating in his staff canteen, which is what they do.
Nice.
Let's see. So this prison, this was my test prison because it has two staff rooms. You can see there's a staff room there and a staff room there and a canteen there and a canteen. No, there isn't. So that one's just a staff room with food in it. So it's like the full setup. Another things that really didn't work is if you had multiple staff canteens.
Yeah. Okay.
It just didn't work at all. Here you go. So you can see here's some chefs cycling their dirty food trays.
Yeah. Okay.
It was ages ago when we did this for prisoners. We just finally gripped it, right, and said like food is such a bottleneck in your prison that it's got to be done really reliably.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Here's a chef doing a wee. Woo.
Right next to the serving tables.
Yes.
That's violating some building code somewhere.
Here's a gardener on his break. Yeah, so we're slowly expanding the staff needs to cover everyone. Now, in the previous update as well, it was a little bit binary. Like, if the staff were pissed off because they hadn't eaten that day, they started, like, really doing badly at their jobs.
Right, okay.
They would, like, guards would search prisoners very slowly, and, they would get into fights a lot more often than was necessary. Whoa, look at that. There's a staff. That's today's bug. Did you see that staff guy eating a door?
He looked like he had a door. Was he eating a door?
Yeah, he was eating a door. Don't know why.
Oh, God.
We'll have a look
Version
at that one.
2 alpha.
Yeah, update 12, 49th major content update. Staff eating doors. Right. He probably wasn't eating a door. It was probably just a sprite bug.
Oh, probably, yeah.
So I was saying that it's no longer quite as simple as just like individual staff. Because if a staff member is a bit pissed off, but everyone's fine, nothing bad's going to happen. That's how I see it. And so what I've done is I've kind of amalgamated all of their needs now into one.
Yeah.
So now if you've got a prisoner needs, there's all the prisoner's needs. And there's all the staff needs, right, for all of your staff. If it starts getting really bad, the overall staff morale starts to take a dive.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So now if you highlight this guard toolbar, you'll see where it says staff morale.
Nice.
Now, our staff morale is at 100% because this is a good prison.
Right.
And a lot more staff are happy in their job than are unhappy. But if you don't take care of your staff and if you don't give them the right kind of break times, that will tilt and staff morale will start to take a dive and will start complaining, right? And it's analogous to prison temperature.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it's an aggregation across all of your staff members, right?
Yeah, and it's a much better way of doing it. Because you get an averaged effect of all of your staff.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So when it starts getting bad, it gets really bad more quickly, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to take care of your staff. Now, previously, you had to kind of pick when staff would go on breaks and things, and how many breaks a day they were going to have, and it just never worked. It was like an equation that you could never balance. So
Mate, have you bought yourself an airport?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got all the doors open, mate, because it's the hottest day in the country since 1975 or whatever, like you were saying earlier. And I live under Cambridge Airport, so all my doors and windows are open. So I'm afraid you've just got to listen to Cambridge Airport traffic.
It's normally not that bad. I just wondered if you'd bought yourself your own, private.
My own personal jet.
Yeah, well, you stand up there pretending you're the bloke from. What was the film? Tropical Thunder or something? When the bloke kept spilling coffee on himself in the tower. Do you remember what film was it?
Airport.
Was it Airport?
Airplane.
Nah.
Airplane.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, it was a military thing where he kept getting flybys. It doesn't matter. Airplane's very good as well. Watch that as well.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
That's all right, mate. I was saying that so when your staff needs get bad, your staff morale starts going down a little bit. And so what can you do about it? Can you do anything about it? Well, you can try and build more facilities for your staff, obviously.
Yep.
But there's a new factor, which is that every time a staff member is killed on duty, that negatively impacts your staff morale.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a permanent effect. All right, so if you have a prison that's very dangerous and a lot of staff get killed in your prison, that has a permanent negative effect on staff morale that no amount of feeding them well and giving them a nice staff room will satiate.
Is it permanent?
Yes.
Not semi-permanent?
Nope, it's permanent. It's
one way you're never going to turn this round?
Oh, no, you can turn it round. But you can't undo a death. All right. So if there's a staff death, now a staff death isn't going to make a lot of difference, but 100 staff deaths makes a difference.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
So what can you do about it? Well, what you normally do when people are being asked to work in very dangerous situations.
They call that prison the Widowmaker.
If you have to work at the Widowmaker, then your staff are going to need to be paid appropriately. So you can now give your staff a pay rise. Right? So under the policy screen, underneath meals and things, you now have the ability to raise your staff pay and indeed cut your staff pay by 10%. Now this is a major cost in your prison,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Your daily, and you can also adjust now the maximum number of staff at any one time taking a break.
Yeah,
right? So if you want to be really, really permissive, you could set that very high, and a lot of your staff will be on break at any one time, and that will help to assuage any staff morale issues.
Get more breaks, won't they? Necessarily.
But also, you'll need a lot more staff to cover them.
Yeah.
And you can also give them pay raises and so on. And it adds up to a lot. If you give them a pay raise of 20%, you start spending thousands and thousands of dollars of extra money per day. Right? So this prison is only in profit by $4,000. So a few pay rises and you would be net negative. And it affects every staff member. You see their wages have gone up now from the usual $100 a day to $120 a day.
Yeah.
And it affects it for the rest of time. So it's like an accumulated cost. Now, there is a positive to all of this. You might be thinking, oh my God, this is like just all negative. The positive effect of this is if you have a high staff morale, that actually has a very positive effect on your prisoner morale as well.
Good.
Or the prison danger level. So staff morale is high is one of the bonuses that you can achieve. Just like prisoners being well fed and stuff like that. So you can offset a lot of the bad things that happen in prison by having a very high staff morale. So what happens then if staff morale gets very, very low? Rhetorical question.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you waiting for an answer?
Yeah, well, they start doing their jobs very badly.
They riot.
We had that last time. So staff don't go on riots, right?
Yeah.
Let's have a look at something else. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah. This is a nice little prism. So I'm just going to go to map settings. So we've got a new failure condition in the game. Right. So in this prism, staff morale is at 0%. Right.
Okay.
It's gone all the way down. Why is this? Because, as you can see in the list, 163 staff have died on duty.
Right. Okay.
So this prison is now far too dangerous for its own right. So it says, our staff have become unhappy with their working conditions in the prison and are threatened to go on strike if they don't get a 50% pay rise.
Wow.
All right. So our staff are now holding us to ransom. We've got 6 hours to decide, and 50% pay rise is, well, our pay is $33,000. So you're talking about an extra $16,000 per day in running costs, right, for your staff.
That's a lot.
Significant amount of money. This prison is already losing $25,000 per day just because it's been so grossly mismanaged. And they're $1.5 million in the red. Yeah. Right. So as is often the case, failures compound failures. Right. This is a prison that is struggling and failing, but it doesn't stop your staff getting out there and demanding a pay rise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? They don't say, "Oh, well, the prison's massively in the red, so I'll forego my salary."
That's right.
Because
they just say,
because 160 of them have died on duty.
Yeah.
Right. And so why on earth am I going to come into work if you're not even going to look after the basic safety of our staff? Right. So I'm going to let it tick down without succumbing to their desires. So now we get another message that says our staff have gone on strike. They will still be willing to return if they get their 50% pay rise, you hope. Right? And so you can see all of the staff in your prison. So actually, what actually happens is 80% of your staff go on strike. They leave they leave 20% skeleton workforce behind, right, to man the place, right, like the absolute.
Is that a militant fist?
Yeah,
militant left-wing fist.
It's brilliant, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Next to the dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a Jeremy Corbyn rally, isn't it?
Yeah.
No one knows who Jeremy Corbyn is, do they?
Well, they do in the UK, mate. And if they're, 18 to 25 or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, no, everyone knows who he is.
He's the British Bernie Sanders, isn't he?
Yeah.
At least he'd like to be. Yeah. So this is your staff on strike. You can see they're all making their way out. So they set up outside. They march up and down the road. Chanting their love songs and all that. Things can only get better and all that. Or whatever it is they chant, and they their little picket fires and everything. Because it's don't forget as well. We also have this prison doesn't have weather turned on, but it might be freezing outside. It could be freezing cold outside. So they start up all these fires as well to keep themselves warm while they're on strike, and they've got to have something to burn as well. So they burn all their placards at the end. So if you when there's a strike underway, your prison is automatically in bang up, right? So they bang all the prisoners up in their cells, and there's no more deliveries or anything. Like delivery trucks stop arriving, intake stops happening. Line, right? It's a picket line. Nothing more will happen. And you can't you can't even hire more guards either, because there's a strike on. You're not permitted to hire more guards. Strike rules.
I can't think of any decent slogans. If you can think of a decent slogan that they'd be chanting, put it in the comments.
Yeah. Well, what do we want?
50% pay rise.
When do we want it? Before another 100 of us die.
Yeah.
Honestly, what kind of person lets 163 staff members die? I mean, it's that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people that have died. But over a long time span, that. If you have a riot or two, that can easily happen. Yeah. So I mean, this prison is basically stuffed beyond all reasonable doubt, because there's now, because when the staff are on strike, in the overall prison temperature, you can now see a net effect on prison temperature. Your staff are on strike, like your inmates are like, oh fuck yeah, yeah. And staff morale is very low as well. So there's a riot underway, right? A riot has kicked off at the exact same time as this strike. Because the prisoners know that your guard is very down.
Even though they're banged up.
Yeah, because they are banged up, but they smash their way out of their jail cells, don't they?
Right. Okay.
Right, these guys have bashed their way out of their jail
right,
cells.
and there's a skeleton crew on. who are going to let them out and stuff.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to be that skeleton crew.
No, I wouldn't either.
Jesus, that's a brave lot. So you can still call in your emergency services, right? You can still call. I was trying to find where it is. You can still get riot police and armed police in, and that would be a sensible move, all right? But if eventually we're going to get a warning that the prison's been on strike for too long. It's been on riot for too long, and the National Guard are going to get called in. This is what happens when these situations escalate, where you've got a staff strike.
Absolutely.
The staff can't even go back in now. Even if we gave them the pay rise, they wouldn't be able to go back into the striking wings.
So the emergency services can get through the picket line?
Yes, the emergency service can get through. So if you call riot police in, or if the National Guard arrive, or if you call in paramedics or whatever, they can get past the picket line. But you just can't hire more staff to replace them.
Yeah, sure.
Here we go. So now we get the prison's out of control. Put down this riot now, or the government will step in and retake the prison by force.
Yeah.
Right. So so we've now got two failure conditions going on at the same time. You get the multiplicative effect of total disaster. So yes, don't let it happen.
Yeah. Bad. This is bad.
There's the net effect. There's the net takeaway. Yeah, so that is staff strikes.
Nice, very nice.
One other little fun thing to show you, if you think we have time.
I think we've got time.
Let's go for. Let's find a nice prison on the prison workshop, shall we? Let's see. Ooh, wow! Look at that. That's weird.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah. That's a nice one. Maybe that one.
Try to escape Chelling.
Yes, I think this is probably meant to be in an escape map.
Yeah.
Go on, hurry up. There we go. Right, it's meant to be like, try and escape as it triple lines and everything.
Like amazing.
What I was going to show you was there's a semi-secret 3D mode in Prison Architect.
Yeah.
Which obviously only a lunatic would spend any time working on.
You haven't spent more time on it.
But I've spent time working on it because I
love
it, man. I love 3D mode. It's so
Everyone
cool,
loves
man.
it.
I love our secret 3D mode. So you can see we've got some new stuff in there now. We've got these new sniper towers, right? So if this person's got snipers looking over the place, there they are. So now they're properly in their guard towers, and we've updated a load of the 3D models as well. So what we're doing is we're gradually converting all the 2D graphics that Ryan did into 3D models.
Right.
So they have like-for-like replacements. So you can see in here the cookers and fridges are all done and everything, sinks are all done, but the ingredients are not yet done. Right? Or some of them are and some of them aren't. It's just a gradual process. I just I do a little bit on it every now and then.
It's good
when I'm a little bit bored. I just do a bit more 3D. The walls have gotten a bit better. They're looking a bit more sensible. The doors look a bit better. There's a few more 3D models in there.
It's like the dogs. The dogs were 3D, but the cages weren't. Is that right? You just flew past the dogs?
Yeah, where was that? Here we go. Yeah, so the kennels are still 2D, but the dogs have got their 3D.
Yeah.
and the little sleeping Zeds are still in 2D and everything, I'm not sure whether I even regard it as ever being a sensible mode to play in. It's like a visualization, isn't it? Because it's a really cool visualization, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's a really cool way to look at your prison and see things happening and get a different perspective on it that you don't normally see.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. That's
very cool.
That's update 12.
4, 5, 6. So I guess there's one thing left to talk about, which is the DLC for the console versions.
Yes. Psych ward.
Yeah, so just reminder of the background here and the context, right? So Introversion's a very small company. We like to think that we make great new games on PC. The work required to port to an Xbox or a PlayStation or a tablet is more work than we want to take on. We don't want to expand. We don't want to. There's a lot of production people that you need to have. You need to have QA, make sure buttons are ticked correctly and so on. And we don't want to be that company. So that's why there's sort of PA Core on PC, and then Double 11 are the guys that did the console version, and Paradox and Tag are the guys that did the tablet version. So the core games are all the same, but as time goes on, they are going to slowly deviate a little bit from each other. And that's what's happened. So we were really impressed with Double 11's console build. It was a fantastic game. It did really, really well. And they were looking to try and do a bit of DLC DLC because you need to make the economics of it work out. It's not like PC. It doesn't work in the same way that we were able to slowly build a massive audience over a long period of time. It's different. So they put together a proposal for the DLC, and it was entirely them looking at the psych ward and bringing in kind of mental health and a few other prisons and bits and pieces. And that released last week and has been reviewed very favorably, and a lot of people are really enjoying that. And if you are a console player, please do go and check it out. But there has been a small number of the PC audience who have been moaning about this.
Not that small, I don't think. I think it's hit a touchy nerve, you know, because I think that there's a fear, there's a perception, I think perhaps, that we've like abandoned the game altogether, and now it's just down to the console version because it's such a massive money spinner, you know, which is so full of untruths. It's unbelievable.
Well, I mean, hopefully the fact that we've done this update video will in some way assuage the fears that we've from this.
I mean, we intend to keep updating it. You know, it won't be every month like it was in the glory days of the early access.
Yeah.
Because we've got new games to make as well. But we're certainly Prison Architect is such a massive game. It's such a massive part of Introversion now that it's inevitable. But there will be updates for other platforms that don't directly come across. Now, I think you and I have often talked about bringing mental health into Prison Architect, and if we did so, we would kind of do that our way. You know, that would be our update.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we may well do that in the future. But we're not planning to just like bring the console update PL DLC over, because it's like a different version, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the way we tend to do our updates is a little bit sort of rough around the edges, you know, in terms of we push an update out there. Often we push it out on the test branch. We let people play it. Then we polish it up to kind of production level, if you like, and then it goes into the main line. And that doesn't work on console, you know. On console, everything has to be completely polished and finished.
And they're at different points in their life cycle, aren't they? I mean, Prison Architect, as we said, has had 49 updates. You know, for years and years, we were providing free content updates to Prison Architect during early access, and then afterwards, after version 1, and all the way up to version 2, and still even now. You know, whereas the console version came out much later because it took that much longer to make. So they're kind of like they're almost back at the beginning of their process. You know, and so then they're not really comparable processes. There's part of me just like. I feel bad about it, you know, when I see it, because I just think like we did all those updates and it doesn't count for anything. Like for people that just bought the game recently, they perceive it that this game has been abandoned, unreasonably so, by the developers.
I hope they don't. I hope that's not the perception. I mean, I hope that is like patently wrong, and if that's the case, then I think we've put out the wrong messaging. I mean, I can kind of understand why somebody might be, how come they've got it and we haven't on PC? And you know, that's a legitimate criticism. You know, we're not going to keep these three things synced up, and if that's your expectation, then you know, I'm sorry. But what we are going to do is look at the way in which Chris and Mark might deliver a mental health update, which is going to be different to the way that Gaz is going to deliver it on the console build. So they are going to be slightly different. Buy both versions. That's the solution.
Buy all three versions, and then buy Scanner Samba while you're at it.
Yeah, buy Scanner. No, don't buy Scanner. It's not for you.
Yeah, exactly. We're withdrawing Scanner from sale.
Right, good. I think that's everything from us. Have a wonderful summer. We will be in touch.
Woohoo!